Have you ever wondered about the deep meaning behind the Surah Al-Burooj in the Quran? This fascinating chapter, known as Surah Al-Burooj, or the Big Stars, is an integral part of the Quran, holding profound wisdom within its verses. Located in the 85th chapter of the Quran, Surah Al-Burooj is unique in its essence. It comprises a total of 22 verses, each one filled with deep spiritual significance. The surah is renowned for its focus on the themes of divine justice, the eternal nature of the human soul, and the ultimate victory of truth over falsehood. This surah, like the glittering constellations it references, guides us through the vast expanse of human experience, shedding light on our path with its illuminating teachings. It encourages us to reflect, to question, and to seek knowledge, leading us towards a deeper understanding of our existence. Now let's delve into the verses of this surah, one by one, to understand its profound wisdom. The first 3 verses of Surah Al-Burooj make a solemn declaration. But what does that mean? Let's delve into the depth of these verses and unravel their profound meaning. The first verse of Surah Al-Burooj, "By the sky containing great stars is an oath sworn by Allah. The sky, vast and magnificent, filled with stars of great magnitude, signifies the grandeur of the Creator. It's an awe-inspiring testament to the power and majesty of Allah." The second verse, "And by the promised day," serves as a reminder of the Day of Judgment. The promised day, an event of absolute certainty, a day where every soul will stand accountable for its deeds. This verse underscores the inevitable reality of life after death, a pivotal concept in Islam. The third verse, "And by the witness and what is witnessed," is a rather profound one. The witness here refers to Friday, the day Muslims gather for communal worship, and what is witnessed alludes to the day of Arafah, a significant day during the Hajj pilgrimage. These days are witnesses to our devotion and commitment to Allah, but there's an alternate interpretation as well. The witness could also refer to Allah, the ultimate observer of all actions, and what is witnessed could be our deeds, actions that we will be held accountable for. So what do these verses truly signify? They serve as a reminder of our purpose, our accountability, and the grandeur of our Creator. They are an invitation to ponder upon the vastness of the universe, the certainty of the Day of Judgment, and our actions under the watchful eyes of Allah. These verses are not just words, they are a reflection of our faith, our beliefs, and our relationship with Allah. They instill a sense of responsibility, a consciousness of our deeds, and a reverence for the divine. These verses set the tone for the rest of the surah, emphasizing the greatness of Allah's creation. As we continue to explore the depth of Surah Al-Burooj, let these verses guide our understanding and enrich our perspective. Moving on to verses 4 to 6, we see a shift in narrative. What does this shift signify? In these verses, we journey into a different realm of understanding. We're introduced to the concept of the accursed trench, a vivid metaphor that's rich with meaning. This trench is not just a physical entity, but also a symbolic representation of the abyss of denial and disbelief. Verse 4 begins with the phrase, "Cursed be the companions of the trench." This is a strong condemnation of those who reject faith and truth, symbolized by the trench. The trench here is a metaphorical representation of a chasm of darkness that one falls into when they deny the light of faith. As we delve into verse 5, we encounter the phrase, "Fire supplied abundantly with fuel." This is a stark image that symbolizes the profound consequences of denying the truth. The fire represents the destructive nature of disbelief, and the fuel signifies how this disbelief is self-sustaining, continually feeding the fire and keeping it alive. Moving on to verse 6, we see the phrase, "They were to what they were doing against the believers, witnesses." This verse emphasizes the accountability of those who reject faith. It suggests that those who deny the truth are not only aware of their actions, but are also witnesses to the harm they cause to believers. The narrative shift in these verses from celestial images to earthly metaphors is significant. It shows the universal applicability of the lessons in this surah, transcending the physical and moving into the spiritual and moral realms. In essence, these verses serve as a reminder of the profound significance of faith and the grave consequences of denying the truth. They illustrate the destructive nature of disbelief and the self-perpetuating cycle it creates, drawing a vivid picture of the spiritual abyss one falls into when they turn away from faith. These verses remind us of the significance of faith and the consequences of denying the truth. In verses 7 to 14, a historical event is mentioned. But what does this event symbolize in the context of the surah? As we delve into these verses, we find a reference to a historical event known as the People of the Ditch. This event is believed to have taken place in Yemen during the reign of a tyrant king who was a staunch opponent of those who professed faith in one God. The verses vividly describe the horrific scene where believers were thrown into a fiery ditch for refusing to renounce their faith. Now, you might wonder why such a distressing event is referenced in Surah Al-Burooj. The answer lies in the inherent message of the surah. This event is not merely a historical recounting, but a profound illustration of the eternal struggle between faith and tyranny, between truth and falsehood. As we proceed further into the verses, we find that the perpetrators of this heinous act are not left unpunished. The surah warns of a similar fiery punishment awaiting them. Herein lies the significance of this event. It serves as a stark reminder that injustice, however severe, is never overlooked by Allah. He is the ultimate arbiter of justice. The verses also highlight the steadfastness of the believers, their unwavering faith in the face of adversity. Despite the dire consequences, they chose faith over life, affirming their belief in the hereafter, where true justice will be served. As we reflect on these verses, we are reminded of the power of faith, the faith that gave strength to the believers to endure the unimaginable, the faith that reassured them of justice even when it seemed far-fetched. The verses also serve as a reminder of the transient nature of worldly power and the ultimate supremacy of divine justice. No matter how powerful the oppressor, they cannot escape the divine retribution. This is a key message in Surah Al-Burooj, and it is beautifully encapsulated in these verses. Through these verses, we are reminded of the power of faith and the ultimate justice of Allah. The final verses of Surah Al-Burooj carry strong messages, but what are these messages? As we delve into verses 15 through 22, we find the profound wisdom that lies within. Verse 15 begins with a stark warning to those who plot and scheme against the believers. It speaks of a day when the earth and the mountains will shake, a powerful metaphor for the day of judgment. Moving on to verse 16, we're reminded that Allah is the creator of all things, both male and female. The verse emphasizes the balance and harmony in creation, underscoring the divine wisdom behind it. Then in verse 17, we're introduced to a solemn promise. A promise of a trial, a testing of sorts. This trial, as verse 18 explains, is not a punishment, but an opportunity to return to Allah's path. It's a reminder that in the face of adversity, faith is our strongest ally. In verse 19, we encounter a comforting assurance. Allah, the Most Gracious, is watching over us, aware of every step we take, every decision we make. This verse serves to instill a sense of accountability and consciousness of our actions. Verse 20 offers a profound reflection on the transient nature of life. It reminds us that we are mere travelers in this world, destined for the eternal life in the hereafter. In verse 21, we're cautioned against being deceived by the apparent prosperity of those who deny truth. Their success is temporary, a fleeting illusion. Lastly, verse 22 brings the surah to a close with a powerful affirmation of Allah's sovereignty. It reminds us that He is the Lord of the heavens and the earth and everything in between. It's a humbling reminder of our place in the universe and the greatness of our Creator. These verses serve as a powerful conclusion, reinforcing the themes of justice, faith, and the greatness of Allah. Having explored each verse of Surah Al-Burooj, what are the key points we have gleaned from this surah? We've journeyed through a universe of meaning, from the grandeur of the constellations to the depths of human resilience and faith. We've learnt about the power of the Almighty, His justice, and His mercy. We've delved deep into the significance of the story of the people of the ditch, a poignant reminder of the value of steadfastness in faith, even in the face of adversity. We've also reflected on the eternal nature of the soul and the promise of the hereafter. Applying these teachings to our lives, we are reminded to be patient, courageous, and unwavering in our faith. We're called to trust in divine justice and to show compassion and kindness to others. Remember, understanding the Quran is a journey. Each verse has layers of meaning waiting to be uncovered. So keep exploring, keep learning, and keep growing in your faith.